Welcome to this Sunday special. Today I'm going to debug a problem I found on the Unreal Engine forums page. We have a user who wants to trigger a cutscene the first time the player walks into a new level, and then never trigger it again because the player's already seen the cutscene. Now as you can see here, I'm walking through my triggers that I made, and it's trying to play the new cut every time, which is not what we want, right? So I've recreated the environment that the person was working with as best as I could without knowing all the details. Basically, we have two core functions in here when we try to load a new level. Has the event triggered? So has our cutscene event already been triggered? If it has, we don't need to do anything. We've already played the cut. If it hasn't, we need to trigger the cutscene and then do whatever we're doing with our level loading. They're trying to load a new level. I'm assuming they're probably using this load stream level by name. But whatever they're doing after that isn't really the problem. The problem is that the cutscene has been triggered and is getting triggered again, and we don't want that, right? So the person used a map of names to a custom structure, and I'm just going to call this open cuts, and this custom structure here is just an array of names. I'm not entirely sure why they use the map, but we'll get into that later. So what they have is this event has event triggered, and this gets the current level name, sees if the map of open cutscenes already contains that level name, and if it does, it breaks it open to see if that array contained within the map for the level name. So level 1 has, cutscene X, Y, and Z. Level 2 has cutscene X, Y, and Z. So we're seeing if this is level 1, what names are already saved in this sequence, or I should say what cutscenes have already been played. And if it has already been played, we're just returning that whether it's been played or not. And obviously, if the current level name isn't in the map at all, then no cutscenes have triggered and we just return false. So that's pretty simple. That's definitely working as intended, right? We're just checking the map, seeing if the map already has the level name. And if it does, we're just breaking open that level name to see if it already has the event ID assigned to the cutscene. So that is definitely working. So let's get into the part that is not working. As you can see, I have two events here. I have this broken event, which is the event that is copied based on what that person was using in theirs. And I have this update triggered, this actual event that is fixed. So let's open up this update triggered events broken function, and I will just kind of explain what's going on here and let you try to figure out what the error is. And then when I'm done explaining what's going on here, I'll go through and I'll pick out the error for you. So what this person does is they get the current level name. They see if the opened cuts map contains that level name. If it does, they run logic, and if it doesn't, they run logic. So if it doesn't already contain the map ID, then they're going to make the custom structure, which is the array of names. Then they're going to break it open and add the event ID to that array, and then add a new entry into the map with the map name, or the level name, and that structure that they've made over here, and then save the game. If the open cutscenes map already contains the current level name, then we're going to run a branch up here to see if it already contains the event ID. If it does, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to save, I guess, the open cuts. This should never trigger anyway, though. And if it does not, they're going to add, again, the event ID to the array from the found map entry, and then add the map entry. This should be this. This was definitely plugged in. Don't mind me. And then they're gonna make this sequence again and add it to the map entry with the level name, and then save the game. Okay, so I'll give you a second here so you can kind of figure out what's going on. Leave a note in the comments. I'm sure a lot of you have probably figured it out. So what happened here, right? What happened off of the false? We know that the current level name is not already contained inside of the map. So nothing has been saved from this level, right? No cutscenes, no event IDs. Well, we're making this empty name array and then breaking it and then adding to it. But this is never going to alter this structure. This is not going to work. Maybe you've had instances where this does work. I can't see this ever working, though. What you would need to do is probably set the members here, set the names array, and come out of here and add. But that's not really going to work either, because there's no way to just add an entry into this names array. The most you could do is maybe make it and loop through the entire names array to do it, but we're not going to do that here. We don't need this add here at all. We don't need to make this, or I should say we don't need to break this. What we're going to do here is we're going to take this make, and all we're going to do is just add or make the array right off of this event ID, because we know that the current level name is not already contained in the map. This is the first entry, so we don't need to do anything complicated. We can just go ahead and put that event ID right in there, right? So now we have this new map of names, and now that is being added in. That's going to work properly the first time that we add an entry to a level. But what if the level is already contained, right? What if we already have maybe event ID 1 is already contained inside of level 1 or the hub level? Well, then we're going to need to run logic up here to see, right, if the value here is already contained inside of the array. And if it's not already contained inside of the array, this person basically did the same thing. They tried to add the item to this struct value, but that is not actually updating the value inside of the structure. So when they pull out this make and try to add it back in, that new value isn't added back in. So let's show real quick that the first time we walk over one, it is saving itself, and the second time it is not. So let's go ahead and test that out. I'm going to press my 2 key here. I'm going to press my 1 key, which is just a debug log. So we see that nothing's printing. So when I walk through this sub trigger, it's going to say trying to transition, save success. And then we're going to see already played the cutscene. If I press my little 1 key here, we can see that it has properly put itself in there, right? Hub level and sub level 1. Now if I walk over the second one, it's going to say new cut, trying to save, new cut, trying to save. It's not going to work, right? Sub level 1 is still the only thing that's actually saved in here. So let's see what's going on with that. And that is our first, our true branch here, where we're finding the open cut, we're breaking the sequence, we're seeing if it contains the item, and then we're adding it. So it's this add right here that is pretty much never going to work, because this array, this structure here is not what is going to happen. That it's not going to work like that. Even if you were to pass this right in, it wouldn't work like that, because this struct has not been updated. Even though we've added this to the array, that's just not quite how nested arrays are going to work inside of structures, unfortunately. Unless you know a dirty trick that I don't, this will not work. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag out of this names array. We're going to promote this to a local variable. Call it something like lname. And now we are going to add to this lname. So we're going to come off of that, add. So now this local array has been updated with the proper event ID and all of the event IDs that it already contained. And then we're just going to pass that in here. So we're going to make this sequence, and we're going to pass in this name. Just like that. Make sure that the level is still being passed as the level. That way it replaces the right element inside of this map. Compile, save that. I'm going to press 1 and press my debug key 2. We see that our hub level has still saved, right? Since I loaded the game with my debug key 2, our first trigger has already saved, so it's not going to play that cutscene again. Now we go into the second cutscene. It's going to try to play the new one. And when I press my debug key, we see that we now have 2 elements inside of that map. And it's not going to play that cutscene again, because we've already tried playing it. We've already played it. And same thing when we walk over this one, it's going to play it for the first time. And we walk over it again, it's going to say, okay, we already played it. See? We have all of these elements inside of our map ready to go. So that is the issue. Again, I don't think there is a way to drag out of this nested array and add to it. I don't think that is ever going to work. And since when you add to an array, it doesn't give you a return value for the array itself, it just gives you the index it was added at. Yeah, that is just not going to work. You might be able to do some gobbledygook here, where you could probably set the members or set the array element. So you could add to the array element and then set the array element, maybe, and then get it. I don't think any of that is ever going to work, though. Your best bet was something like this, where you have a map that you need to add an array into, right? You have a nested array inside of a map, and you need to add a value to it. is to just go ahead and localize that array, add right into it, and then return the value, the new array as the element here. And if you really needed to do this, you could, like if you had other values, you could probably localize this entire structure, or do whatever you need to do here. But basically, yeah, you're just gonna have to make a local array and go ahead and add that in, and that should work out for you. So a couple things to note. For me, I just use level to open inside of my custom trigger. To say that this is going to be the level that we open, and I made it instance exposed, which you can see here. That is what I use. But maybe I don't. Again, I don't know exactly how the person has their project set up, so I don't know if maybe it's like a single trigger for each level they're trying to open. So you have this, and it only plays the one cutscene when the player walks over it, and it opens the sub level one. Uh, but maybe you have like multiple what do I want to say? Maybe you have multiple values in here, so maybe you need to do a bit more logic inside of your custom trigger. But I just use the level to open because I don't really see. You could probably have level to open and something else in here, cutscene name, uh, scene name, right? As another name array or another name value. Or you could even have an array of these, and maybe say cutscene 1, cutscene 2, and then get some data out of your game instance or wherever you have your values to figure out which cutscene is going to play. Probably when the player walks over it. Maybe make another interaction event and try to do something with that. But I don't see ever needing this as a map. Um, I don't see ever needing this open cutscenes as a map because we're getting the level name here, and we're seeing if the open cutscenes contains that. But our cutscenes are probably all going to have a unique name. We're not going to have level 1, or I should say, um, we're never going to have the hub level, right, with cutscene labeled as event ID 001, and then level 1 or sub level 1, again with event ID 001. Maybe you would do something like that, but I don't really see a point. Every event ID should just be its own unique thing. So you have maybe the first cutscene that the player sees when they load into the game is 001. Maybe when they walk over the first threshold, it's 002, 003 for the second, 004 for the third. I don't see why you would actually need to map this at all. So what I would do here is honestly, I would just make this uh, viewed cuts or whatever you want to call it as an array of names, and use this to basically handle all of this. So we would come out of here, and we already know that our update trigger is being triggered when has event triggered is being triggered. So basically, I would just come in here. I would say get this. I would say contains the event ID instead of doing all this stuff with the level name and the map. I would just see if it contains this level ID. If it does, return true. If it doesn't, return false, right? By the way, this probably could have been pure in the first place, and it can definitely be pure now. So basically, I would just come out of here and outright, and I would say has event triggered. Well, if it is contained inside of the view cutscenes array, then it has triggered. If it is not contained inside of the view cutscenes array, then it has not triggered, right? So I would take that right here in our load level. We would see has event triggered. If it has, we're just going to carry on with our lives, open up the level. And if it hasn't, we're going to trigger the cutscene with this not broken anymore function. So instead of running all of this logic here, I'm just going to delete all of that. And I guess you could check contains again, but we know that if we are running this, it doesn't contain this. So I don't even have to worry about it. All I have to do here, guys, is just add. Take this, get it, add the event ID. We already know it wasn't contained. Add the event ID and trigger the save game. So if we do that, right, we open it, we trigger the save game. Instead of setting the save sequences, we'll also add another value here. I'm just going to call this something RR, whatever, array, whatever happens to slide off of my fingers. And I'm just going to go ahead and set that here as well, so I don't have to make another function. But basically that's it, right? We're just going to be getting this array out of the game instance and setting it to this view cuts. And then when I load the game, just to test this out, I'll have to, where is it here? I'll just have to set my view cuts to this. I probably should have named that better. My RR. And that's all I have to do, right? We don't need a map for anything if we're labeling all of our cutscenes as unique IDs anyway. So I don't really see why we would need the map here. Just something to note. It really, really simplifies the logic, right? Because now all we need to do is has the event triggered. We really don't even need a function for this. We're just taking the view cuts array and seeing if it contains the item. And if it does contain the item, we're good. We don't need to view the cutscene. If it does not contain the item, we trigger the cutscene. And all we do here, we don't even need a function, right? We can just add it straight to the view cuts. I'll keep it as functions just so we can test it real quick, but we really don't need to do any of that, right? And we just save the array. So that should work. I'll press 2 here, and we see that we've loaded up, right? So we still have all our sublevels. It's still loading all that stuff up. And now when I walk over this trigger volume, it's going to say trying to transition, trying to do the cut, already played the cut. So it's already played the cut. We come over to this one here. It's going to try to play the cut the first time. And every other time we walk over it, it's not going to play the cut because we've used a unique name on all of these. It's just adding it straight into the array. Right? So it's already good, right? It's already added into the array. If I escape, I press play again. I press 2 to load my game. And we walk over these. It's not going to give us the cutscene again because we've saved that array. So just a little something I wanted to kind of go over here today. Because I know a lot of times we like to overcomplicate things. But we didn't need to make a map here at all, really. As long as our cutscenes, again, have a unique name, which they're probably going to have, because we're triggering the cutscenes. So you'll have like level to open and scene name or cutscene to play. And you'll have some logic probably actually to get cutscene to play. So has player triggered event, whatever you have in your save game to kind of decide. Maybe the player needs to be level 10 and coming into the area, or maybe they need to trigger a specific event in the game before they come back into the area to get the next cutscene. Or maybe each of your custom triggers only has one cutscene, and you just have your scene name in here. And then we have our interface here, which is just try to transition level, which is really simple. It just passes the cutscene name into the third person character, so we don't have to cast into anything besides our game instance, which I probably wouldn't even use game instance for this. I'd probably use like a custom function library to just kind of bypass using the game instance. I probably wouldn't use this unless I absolutely had to. I'd probably use the game mode here, especially if we're streaming levels. But this person used the game instance, so that's what we used in the example. And then just load the level, and instead of even doing this, we would just get this array, see if it contains the item. If it does, great, we carry on with our lives. If it doesn't, we don't need to do anything. We trigger the cutscene. And then instead of even having this trigger cutscene, I would probably have the whatever logic. So it would be trigger cutscene, but I would have whatever logic needs to be run from the player or whatever elements need to be run, and basically just say update triggered, or basically just say add this cutscene information. So whatever the cutscene ID is, right into the false, and then open up the level. But yeah, I mean, maybe you need it as a function because maybe you're going to call that inside of the character before you open it, right? So maybe you need to has event triggered with the cutscene name to actually run the logic inside of your player to do the cutscene or whatever other actors need to do it. So I can see why you might have this as a little function here just to see if it contains the cuts. But again, I don't see any reason we would need a map. So just a little something there to kind of think about when you're writing your code, to keep it as simple as possible. Like if you don't need to map something out, don't map it out, right? If you don't need a custom structure, don't worry about a custom structure. Because every event, every cutscene in your game can totally have a unique name value attached to it, right? You don't need cutscene 01 in level 1 and cutscene 02 in level 2. You could even go as far as to say this is CS 01 or CS hub 01 or CS, right, sub level 1, so sub level 1, cutscene 01, or whatever you want to do there. You really don't need to have a map attached to this. I just think that's probably not a good idea. And I get it. We're all learning every day, so this person probably just didn't really think about, maybe they didn't need to have that custom uh, map where they had the name attached to it, the level name attached to the cutscene, and sorted out in that method. Again, unless you need that map for something else later on, better to just use an array here. See if it contains the item, and then add it right into the array and save the game. That's like super simple, probably the best way to do this. You don't have to run all that additional logic. Nobody gets confused. You're just, boom, right in, adding it right into the array. By the way, you can come out of here, right click anywhere in your graph. I'm going to search event ID, which is my little variable here, and I can get this event ID anywhere. It's the same input variable. I noticed that the person didn't do that. They routed it all across of God's green earth, which is not really a problem, but it's not something you need to do. You can just drag and get the event ID. That's that same input variable. So you don't need all the routes and confusion. That makes it kind of messy for anyone to try to read, unless you have, unless that's just really the way you like to do it. Again, just right click, search for your variable name. So mine is event ID. Whoops. And you're going to get that variable out of here. And it's just going to be in the variables category. Even if you had a variable here called event ID, and we'll just make it a single. Yeah, change variable type. Even if you had that here, we would say event ID just like we did, and it would not be it would be your default, right? Or whatever category you've placed it under in your variables. It wouldn't be this get event ID that doesn't have a category that is going to be the input event. So just a little tidbit there for you. Thank you for watching. I hope to do one of these little videos every Sunday, or maybe every other Sunday moving forward, where we just find a problem that somebody is having out in the world. They've posted about it, and we go through and try to debug it a little bit and fix it up. That's a lot of what programming is in Unreal Engine. That's a lot of what making games is kind of debugging stuff, figuring out what's not working, how to make it work. And maybe a simpler way to make it work, like changing our map to just a basic array of names and adding it in. So if you have any similar problems to this, reach out to me. I'm on X, I'm on Discord, or you can join the Patreon for $3 a month and message me there. Send me some screenshots or maybe a little video of what's going on in your game and what you can't figure out, and we'll see about making a video of it and, trying to figure it out. Have a great day, everyone. Happy Sunday.